Welcome to the podcast Life After Addiction and Indictment. I'm your host, Steve Cloward, and I spent most of the last decade and well over $100,000 on coaches, consultants, masterminds, and events trying to figure out how to reclaim my life again. On this podcast, I'm going to share the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the hacks that allowed me to forgive myself so that I could reclaim my life again. I'll be interviewing experts in mindset, leadership, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, branding, and so much more. I'm glad you're here. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Let's go! This is Life After Addiction and Indictment.
Hey folks, welcome back to Life After Addiction and Indictment. Today I've got a gentleman who is from the land down under in Australia, and he's got just an incredible story. Got a background in journalism. He became a sportscaster on ESPN after stopping his social drinking that was apparently becoming a problem. And I'm going to let him kind of get into his story, but I want to welcome James Swanwick to the show. How you doing, James?
I'm well, thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you betcha. Hopefully round two here, since I forgot the record button, is going to be even better. So, give us a little insight on, how you grew up and, maybe what you were exposed to as a child. And then, as most teenagers, maybe you experiment a little with alcohol, and then kind of how that evolved to where you felt like something was maybe becoming a problem.
I grew up in Australia, and I was a socially acceptable drinker in that I would have a couple of drinks most nights of the week. On weekends, I'd drink more, but I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't getting arrested. I wasn't waking up in a ditch. But, I drank from probably 16 or 17 right up until I was 35. So let's call it almost 20 years of consistent drinking, albeit not alcoholic level of drinking, but consistent drinking. And I got to 35 and I'd put on about 25, 30 unwanted pounds. I was irritable. I wasn't sleeping great. And I identified that my drinking habits had finally caught up with me. And I was in Austin, Texas at the annual South by Southwest Festival in 2010. I went to an industry party. I had 2 Bombay Sapphire gin and tonics. And I went back to my hotel room 20 minutes north of Austin, went to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I could taste the gin on my mouth and I just felt blah. I wasn't like really that badly hungover, but I was just blah. And I looked in the mirror, I looked weathered, had dry skin. I didn't like the fact that I was, 25, 30 pounds heavier than I wanted to be. I went next door to an IHOP, an International House of Pancakes. And I sat there and I'm like, what am I doing in an IHOP? And in that moment, I just committed to taking a 30-day break from alcohol. And I said, let's just run an experiment. Let's see what happens. And I did. And in 30 days, I lost 13 pounds. It just melted off my body. My skin got better. Just a warning, you do get better looking when you stop drinking alcohol. I started sleeping really well. I joined a gym. I attracted a much higher caliber of person into my life. I created a romantic connection with a woman who didn't drink and was very high energy or positive energy, I should say. And then at the time, because I had this clarity and focus and energy from being consistently alcohol-free, an opportunity arose for me to audition to become a television anchor on a TV show, SportsCenter on ESPN, which is generally regarded to be the most
small. That's a pretty small show.
Yeah. Well, in sports circles, it's regarded as the most iconic sports TV
100%.
show that there is.
There's nothing
And
bigger.
I got the job. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I got the job. And so I looked back and I thought, wow, it's been a bit over 30 days here of not drinking. I've lost weight, attracted a great romantic relationship, landed a job hosting a TV show on ESPN. There might be something to this alcohol-free lifestyle. And so I just kept going and going and going and going and going. And I haven't drunk since then. It's been 13 years now. And now there's a worldwide movement that has caught on, in part because of a lot of the things that my team and other, influencers, I guess for lack of a better word, might be doing out there, which is educating people on the dangers of alcohol, even seemingly innocent amounts of alcohol, I should say.
Yeah.
And now, we have this amazing community. We've helped tens of thousands of people to have a better relationship with alcohol, including stopping drinking through our 90-day mind rewiring process, an experience where we help folks stop drinking for 90 days so they can, choose an alcohol-free lifestyle after that. Because of all of this, I've been very health conscious. I created a sleep company. We create these blue light blocking glasses called Swannies from my sleep company, Swanwick Sleep, and you wear them before you go to sleep at night, and it helps you sleep better. So I've become very health conscious, mindset conscious, and hopefully I'll make a small dent in the universe by educating people on alcohol and sleep.
Hey man, if you just help one person, change their life with this stuff, to me, that's why I do this stuff, because just one, it makes a difference. But obviously you're having a big impact because of, the background you've got and just the work you're doing as well. Mindset's something that we do talk a lot about on this show. And that's really what, after I went through the things I went through, prison and my addiction issues, that it took me a long time to identify, but that was absolutely the issue that I faced. I was allowing my mindset to get in the way of me reclaiming my future to move forward. What are some of the things that, obviously with, what you were doing, and just to be able to turn that off and say, number one, be cognizant of, that social drinking being so consistent, obviously because of the way you felt and the way you started to, feel that you looked. You just made a conscious choice, but you've obviously taken it much deeper than that to achieve and do the things that you've done, because you're obviously, very successful entrepreneur, and you can't do the things you're doing without, having the right mindset, a positive attitude, because you're not going to attract people, to what you're trying to accomplish if you don't have that positive energy, so to speak.
Well, what quitting alcohol did for me is that it opened up a cascade of other healthy habits and other modalities that I wasn't exposed to when I was drinking. So for example, I did a 10-day silent meditation called Vipassana, and I did it in a place called, I think it's called 27 Palms, just outside of Los Angeles, a couple of hours outside of Los Angeles. And that was a great experience. And that introduced me to meditation and silence and calming the mind. I mentioned earlier, I joined a gym, went up to LA Fitness on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood there where I was living at the time. And that exposed me to learning about how to build muscle and burn fat. I became more charitable. So I started raising money for a charity and did it in conjunction with training for a half marathon. So I trained for a half marathon and raised money for charity at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
I did some landmark education. There's a company called Landmark Worldwide, which coaches people on mindset. I did other personal development programs. I went to some Tony Robbins seminars. I joined a business entrepreneurial mastermind and got around other very positive mindset, conscious people. And so that mindset really has been nurtured and grown over time by me intentionally exposing myself to groups of other growth-minded, health-conscious people. Yeah. So it's no surprise that before I stopped drinking, I was hanging out with people who weren't really into that.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped drinking, I started attracting into my life people that for me had a higher frequency, the conversations had more depth to them. They weren't trivial surface level conversations. And that's not to disparage people who aren't into that. It's just a different lifestyle, right? And I just chose a lifestyle for me that was filled with growth, self-development, conscious communication, positive mindset, healthy physical living, and healthy mental living. And I think surrounding yourself with people who you admire and who you are striving to be more like is absolutely critical, because, the old saying, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, in my view, is absolutely spot on.
100%. Yeah, because like you said, and I've talked about this just recently on this show is that frequency, as we all pretty much, all we are is energy in that frequency. You're going to attract like-minded people based on the type of, people you're around, like you said, and just looking at the two examples you gave, when you're drinking, and once again, not disparage those type of individuals versus the type that are looking to grow and develop. It's just totally different. And, not only have you proven, I've proven it in my life, and anybody can if they'll look back at certain times in their life. I've got a relative who is just negative, like they just have a kind of a scowl 24/7, and total victim mode. The highlight of the day is getting their Diet Coke, and they wonder why their life sucks, but you can't always just tell somebody that, all you can do is try to drop a little seeds here and there and hope that they, figure it out. But that's cool too, because you don't want to be around that kind of stuff, and so, just looking at that and looking at successful people, who do you want to be like? For those listening, if you're struggling and stuck and you're looking to, chase your dream and become that entrepreneur that you've always wanted to, you got to look to somebody like a James, people that have what you're looking to get, and that will help you get there much quicker. One of the things that we talked about, and I think it was really important before I had realized I didn't hit record the first time, was, I asked you about people who are worried about not having their alcohol, people that are social drinkers, because that's something that I was afraid of when I was thinking of stopping taking the opiates that I was taking. Well, I'm not going to be okay in these environments, because I've had some social anxieties. And so that was kind of a crutch. You had some great information, not only about, how to do that, but also statistically what's been taking place with the decrease in numbers of people that actually are drinking today.
Course creators, say goodbye to intimidating software and eliminate multiple subscriptions and say hello to Backbone. Backbone helps course creators thrive with their all-in-one, easy-to-use sales and marketing platform. Backbone gives you all your automation in one place to capture, nurture, and turn more leads into customers. With Backbone, you get unlimited courses, membership sites, funnels, landing pages, surveys, and forms with our easy-to-use drag-and-drop features. That's not all. Backbone provides a full CRM and pipeline management, two-way SMS, workflow automations, call tracking, full analytics, built-in AI, 24/7 support, and so much more. Stop paying for multiple tools and put more money in your pocket with Backbone. Just go to backbonelms.io now to get your free 14-day trial. Backbone supports letthemlive.org to help defend the defenseless by donating 5% of each subscription every month. Jump over to backbonelms.io now to start your free trial today.
Alcohol's reputation is crumbling. Never have people drunk less. College-age Americans. In fact, there was a study that came out in 2020 and that found that college-age Americans who were alcohol-free had risen from 20% to 28%. That's a huge increase.
Massive, yeah.
In my native country of Australia, Generation Z Australians, they were most likely to have decreased their alcohol consumption. And there were 44% of them reporting that they were drinking less, which is more than double the rate of any other generation. So certainly the younger the person, the more educated they are now, and the more healthier choices they appear to be making, at least statistically, according to these studies. Mm-hmm. There's never been a greater proliferation of alcohol-free alternatives on the market. There's alcohol-free beers and alcohol-free mixers, and people are increasingly choosing those styles of drinks as people become more health conscious and health aware. And people are now opening their eyes to the very clever marketing that liquor companies use on us to get us to think and feel that it's fun and joyful and a great way to relax. And certainly I would imagine many of your listeners would probably agree with that. Well, it is fun. Yeah. It does help you relax. Well, we'll challenge some of those notions here in a little bit. But you asked about socializing. How do people socialize while being alcohol free? Well, First thing I would say is we have to understand that all persuasion and influence is only 7% what we say, 7% the words of what we say, and 93% of how we say it. So in any debate, in any fight, or any sales conversation, or any time you're trying to influence someone, 7% of the power is from the words. 93% is how you deliver those words.
Wow.
So if we look at that in a social situation, if you go out into a restaurant or a bar or a dinner party and you're not drinking and you are embodying the energy of, oh man, I'm depriving myself. Oh, geez, I wish I could drink, but I can't because I got to stop. Then the fellow guests, the fellow people in that social circle are therefore going to pick up on that energy, and they're going to go, oh, look, well, he's not very fun or she's not very fun because they're not drinking. And they're going to, of course, then want to say, go on, just have one. Here, go on, have a drink. Yeah. You'll be okay. Yeah. And they embody this smiling assassin because they're kind of like, here you go, have a drink. Hey, would you like a drink? Let me get you a drink. But if we flip that, and you can be alcohol free and you can commit to being the most fun, the most engaging, the most interested, the most interesting person in any social situation, then people many times won't even notice that you're not drinking. They're just going to be enjoying your company. You're someone that they just want to be around. And the big secret really is no one really cares if you're not drinking. They just care that you're someone that they can get along with and have fun with. That's it.
Very, very, very true. You know, you say if you're sitting there being kind of the bump on the log over in the corner, yeah, that assassin's going to show up. I love that definition. So you've got 13 years without a drink, and you know, as you talked earlier, you know, when you stop, you gain more clarity, you started sleeping better, feeling better. And, you know, from a standpoint of having that opportunity with ESPN, I think everyone knows the answer, but, you know, if you'd have kept going, number one, who knows if the opportunity would have come, but let's say it did. You think you would have been able to put it together so that you would have got hired?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. And probably it may not even happen, just because I tend to believe that that's kind of how the universe works.
Well, I'll tell you, it wouldn't have happened. And I'll tell you why. And I have evidence to support this.
Awesome.
When I stopped drinking alcohol, I drew up a 30-day plan to help and support my friends and acquaintances with no expectation of anything in return. And it was a result of me reading a book called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. And in this book, he says, lead with value, lead with giving.
Yep.
And I read the book at the same time as I was experimenting with this being alcohol free. And then I created this 30-day challenge, not only of not drinking, but also I'm going to support my friends and acquaintances and not ask for anything in return. And one of the friends that I supported in that first week was the same person who contacted me and said, hey, ESPN is looking for an international anchor.
Wow.
I thought you'd be good for it. I've met the producer. Would you like me to connect you to the producer? And I said, yes. And that's how I came to be it. It wasn't like ESPN were advertising, hey, we're looking for a new anchor. Right? That's how I got the opportunity. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And ESPN's headquarters is all the way on the other side of the country in Bristol, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And the producer initially said to me, yeah, nice to meet you. Oh, you live in LA. Okay, yeah, well, you know, I guess if you're in Bristol, Connecticut, anytime, maybe we'll meet up. And he just wasn't really interested, right? And so I kind of thought to myself, why don't I just buy myself a damn ticket and fly over there and get myself over there and just go for it?
Yeah.
And I tell you, I wouldn't have done that if I was drinking, because I would have been tired and irritable. The doubt would have overtaken me. But because I had the clarity from not drinking, and I had the focus, and I was sleeping well, I had the confidence. And because I had the confidence, I just went, I'm just going to buy a damn plane ticket and go. And so I emailed the producer back and said, oh, guess what? I'm going to be in New York next week. I just happen to be in New York next week. Maybe that might be an opportunity for me to come to Bristol and meet you then. And the producer said, yeah, sure. And that's how it came to be. So yeah, if I was still drinking, in my mind, no question, I wouldn't have even gone for the job, let alone get it.
Yeah. I would agree for sure. Yeah. So those of you that maybe are struggling and, maybe still, drinking, drugging, whatever, James is a testament to how things can shift. I had fears of facing situations, how I would do certain things, and I had the same experience. Everything got better, actually, so it can be scary. I get it, but at the same time, I promise it's worth it. So, if you're, like I say, if you're struggling and don't even know where to turn, feel free to send me a message. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care what time of day you message me. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be charged a dime, because when I was struggling, I didn't know where to turn. It was back in, 2000, and it wasn't so, such a, I guess, acceptable situation. Not that it's acceptable, but it's, way more out in the open. People understand there's a disease component, et cetera. And, the hardest part is admitting you had a problem. You were, quote, socially drinking, but you had a problem, and you realized what it was doing to you physically and mentally, and just made a choice. And that's what it comes down to. You got to make that choice. You work with all sorts of different people. It looks like, executives, professionals. You've got a book, I believe, the alcohol is the freedom formula. Is that correct?
Alcohol freedom formula.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So what it really details is my story and actionable tips for anyone to have a better relationship with alcohol. Now, I'm not pushing on anyone that they need to quit forever. Yeah. But I am somewhat pushing people to commit to quitting for a time, at least, so they can experiment and get a glimpse of what it feels like to be alcohol free. Because I've had a life with and without alcohol, and without is way better. Yeah. Now, traditionally, we really support mostly executives, entrepreneurs, investors, high achievers, retirees. What we've found is that the demographic that most wants support stopping drinking tends to be 40 plus. Sometimes folks in their 30s, but mostly above 40. So we really cater to that, I'd say 35-year-old to 60, early 60s. And we take them through a 90-day process where we rewire their mindset around alcohol. We expose the liquor company's marketing for what it is. We show them how they've been cultural conditioned all their life, from their parents to their friends, to their boss, to their colleagues, to believe that this thing called alcohol is fun and relaxing. It appears fun and relaxing in the moment, but the reality is that it's anything but. We also open folks' eyes, and this is all outlined in the guide, the Alcohol Freedom Formula guide as well, what the opportunity cost is from just seemingly innocent drinking. And when I say seemingly innocent drinking, what I mean by that is 1 drink per night, 7 standard drinks a week, is enough to cause gray and white matter degeneration in your brain, according to a 2022 study that came out in the UK. They looked at 35,000 Brits, middle-aged Brits, and they tracked the effects of 1 drink per night. Wow. And it destroyed gray and white matter in the brain. They've also done studies that show that folks with dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, can slow its pace by stopping drinking alcohol. Now, it can't cure it. Right. But if you got dementia and you stop drinking, it can slow that process. Interesting. Right. I mentioned before, stopping drinking can make you look better looking, can make you better looking, right? That's very true. They did a study that showed that people who stopped drinking had 30% less visible signs of wrinkles and crow's feet.
Wow.
Within 10 days. That's
Really?
how much your skin can change. Your skin is the body's largest organ.
Yeah.
And when you're drinking alcohol, you're just pouring toxins down your throat and you're, let's say, watering the skin with toxins. But when you stop drinking alcohol, the toxins leave the body, they leave the skin, and it returns to a look that nature always intended. I always say to women in particular, less so men, but mostly women, honestly, you could throw away your fancy Hollywood celebrity promoted moisturizers like Neutrogena and L'Oreal and all this kind of stuff with Jennifer Aniston promoting it and Cameron Diaz and all these Hollywood stars. Just throw it away and stop drinking alcohol, and your skin and your complexion will
Better results, probably.
Oh yeah, you'll wonder why people are saying, "Wow, you look great. Have you lost weight? What's going on? You look fabulous." So it's all outlined in that guide, Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. We have a process which is called Project 90, and it's a 90-day process, and we walk our clients through that process, and they seem to really appreciate being in a like-minded community. And by like-minded, I mean folks who are not alcoholics, who wouldn't describe themselves as alcoholics, but they know that they're drinking too much and they've tried to stop in the past and they've been successful at stopping, but they've returned to drinking. So they're stuck on this stop, start cycle. They're not as present with their kids. They've got marital problems. They realize that they're operating at about a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in their business or career when they could be an 8 or a 9 out of 10. And the difference between operating at a 6 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10 could be hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue or income. Right. And so people say, "Oh, I don't spend that much money on alcohol. I probably only spend, $300 or $400 a week on it or a month on it or whatever." I'm like, okay, let's say you spend $7,500, $10,000 a year on alcohol. All right, that's not insignificant, but compared to how much money you're leaving on the table, because you're not operating at an 8 or a 9 out of 10, you're actually probably leaving $100,000 plus in lost revenue or income because of your drinking, because you're only operating at a 6 out of 10. Then you start to do the math and you go, well, let's just say I could make $100,000 more in my business if I stop drinking alcohol. And I spend $7,500 a year on alcohol. So that's $107,500 a year is the swing. And if we divide that by 365, we get $294.52 every day is what I call the dumb tax that you pay every single day that you decide to drink alcohol. That's how much money you're either spending or that you're spending on alcohol, and you're not making because you're drinking alcohol. $294 a day.
I don't get anybody's attention. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. I remember when I went to rehab, they had us do an exercise based on time away from work, cost of bills you're buying, the whole 9 yards, and the numbers, they are staggering. You just would never think about it until you put the calculator to it like that. So talk to us a little bit about, you're obviously an entrepreneur. Prior to tell us a little bit about your background. You obviously got the job at ESPN. Had you done journalism and broadcasting most of your life? Was that what happened? What got you into, creating your own business and becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, when I grew up in Australia, when I left high school in Australia, I became a newspaper journalist in the late 90s. Oh, sorry, I started in the early 90s in Brisbane, Australia. I wrote for a Rupert Murdoch-owned broadsheet newspaper called the Courier Mail in Brisbane, Australia. And I did that for 6 years until 1998. Then I moved over to London in 1999, and I became an internet sports journalist with skysports.com. And so that was kind of my journalism career. Then I moved over to Los Angeles in 2002, and I began interviewing movie stars for magazines and newspapers. So I had interviewed Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. And in those first years that I was living in LA, I got to go to these hedonistic parties like the Playboy Mansion and the Golden Globes after party and Elton John's after party for the Oscars. And when I was drinking, I would go to the bar and I would drink. And I did have a wonderful time. I mean, I felt sick the next day, but I didn't care. I didn't care that much because still kind of young. I was just open eyes about America. Wow, this is amazing. I'm in America. This is incredible. I'm going to all these fancy places. And, but I was the guy that always had a job. I was always working for someone. And then when I quit alcohol, yes, I still did another 2 years of being an employee for ESPN, but it was a pretty damn fun job, I have to say, because
If you like sports, got to be.
I got to watch sports all day, got to be on TV and have a Z level of fame. But at the same time, I was still working for the man, like ESPN was owned by Disney. It was still corporate America. I still had to go in to work at a certain time. I still had to clock off at a certain time. Sport takes place mostly on the weekends, so you end up working many weekends. And so during that time on the side, I studied and learned how to create businesses. And more specifically, I wanted to create an online business, an internet business, because what I realized being stuck in Bristol, Connecticut, was that I wanted to be location independent. So I decided that whatever business I was going to start, I didn't want it to be a brick and mortar store. I didn't want it to be location dependent. I wanted it to be all online so I could be where I wanted to be and do what I wanted to do, at least logistically, whenever I wanted. And so I actually took a big risk. In 2012, I quit my job at ESPN. I resigned to go and be an online entrepreneur. And I sucked at it for about 18 months. And people thought I was crazy. They're like, what the heck are you doing? You just gave up that great job at ESPN. And I can tell you, I went from a multi-six-figure salary at ESPN to making about $30,000 over 18 months in the first 18 months after I quit. I was like, man, I don't know whether I've done the right thing here. But in 2015, I hired a mentor, paid him some money to show me, to really speed up my learning. And I started a sleep company called Swanwick Sleep, which still goes today. And we produce these blue light blocking glasses that block out the artificial blue light from your phone and your computer and your TV screens and help you sleep better. And then I also started the 30-day no alcohol challenge because people kept asking me, is it true you don't drink? How do you not drink? And so I created an online program. And it's funny because that online program, the 30-day no alcohol challenge, is still running today. It's still there. And I started that in 2015. It's at 30daynoalcoholchallenge.com. You can find it there. In fact, the video of me is about 7 years old, but people still find it. And people still enroll in it, and it still helps so many people across the world. It's helped probably maybe 20,000 people now have gone through that little program.
That's phenomenal.
And so I think one of the big lessons that I got out of this was obviously going alcohol free really propelled me forward. Taking a risk, leaving corporate America and going to try and start a job. Look, it was challenging for 18 months. No question about it. But when it finally started to kick off, man, it was just such a better lifestyle for me because I got to live in New York City. Then I went to Austin, Texas. I lived in Bali, Indonesia, spent some time in Medellin, Colombia. And it's just a wonderful lifestyle. The other thing is because I was interested in healthy habits as a result of not drinking, I created businesses about healthy habits. I mean, my blue light blocking glasses company, Swanwick, I'm wearing a pair of my blue blockers right now. These are the daytime clear lens blue light blocking glasses. You can see the Swanwick on the...
That's cool.
Yeah. This was an extension of me not drinking alcohol because I became interested in sleep. I learned everything about sleep. I interviewed the world's greatest sleep doctors and experts, to the point today where our glasses are now worn by professional athletes at the Denver Broncos, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Knicks, Tottenham Hotspur, English Premier League soccer team, Manchester United. The MVP of the NFL some years ago, Von Miller, has a pair and wears the blue light blocking glasses. These glasses really help.
Can those be done in prescription?
They can, cool. Yeah. Our website's swanwicksleep.com, and you can put in your order there for prescription. We also have fit overs that go over the top of your existing prescription glasses.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they fit very snugly. They don't look aesthetically that pleasing when you wear the fit overs, but they're very, very effective. And candidly, most people are choosing to wear the glasses in the last hour before you go to sleep. So no one's really looking at you wearing them anyway, because except maybe your wife or your husband or your children, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, you asked me about being an entrepreneur. I just build businesses now that are an extension of my interests and my hobbies.
Isn't that the key? Because then you got that interest, so you're driven to, basically it's going to make it a lot easier to be successful. Then you're not doing it just to chase the dollar. The dollar is a byproduct of you doing something that you're interested in that helps people, which you talked about early on. How can you provide value? You can figure out something you like that provides value to the public. The money will take care of itself every time.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Is true. That's been my experience. Yes. So, I get to talk about my my three favorite topics on a daily basis, which is sleep, how to sleep better, living an alcohol-free lifestyle, and entrepreneurship. I love those things. And most of my clients in the stop drinking business are either entrepreneurs or executives. And most of our clients who buy our performance sleep glasses are also kind of people who have that growth mindset or into high performance. They're looking for an edge to improve their life. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to buy a pair tonight. I can promise you that, because anything that will improve my sleep, I'm all in. And I know how bad that these screens are. Most people are looking at them before they go to sleep, or the TV. And, I've read about the effects. Obviously, can't articulate it, but I have read about it. It makes a big difference. I can't remember the time frame that they suggest not to have a screen in front of you before you go to bed. Is that an accurate?
Well, here's the thing.
Like an hour, some at least before you go to bed? Because it's the blue light, right? That's the issue.
Yeah, here's the thing. Let me just backtrack a little bit, and I'll explain it if
absolutely.
Yeah. So when we were cavemen and cave women, we didn't have electronic light at night. We just had flame from the fire. And fire and flame does not disrupt melatonin production. So we would wake up with the sun and we'd go to sleep. We'd light, or before we went to sleep, we'd light a fire. We'd sit around the fire. We'd fall asleep by the fire. And that was how we lived for centuries, thousands of years. Now, we fast forward to the late 1800s, and Thomas Edison mass-produced the light bulb. Now, what happened with that light bulb is that we all started staying up a lot later at night. And it was a wonderful invention because we got to stay up later at night.
Yeah.
Right? But it also made us stay up later at night and compromised our sleeping habits. And because our sleeping habits have been compromised, our health has been compromised. Now, we fast forward all the way to 2007, Steve Jobs and Apple released the iPhone, smartphone. Yeah. Now we're carrying this mini sun around with us in our pockets every day, and we're staring at this mini sun at night. Now, why does this matter? Like, how does staring into a screen or being around artificial light at night compromise our health? Well, here's the thing. Computers, TV screen, bathroom light, kitchen light, microwave light, refrigerator light, speedometer light, traffic light, golden arches of McDonald's lights. All of that light at night emits a blue light, which stimulates your pituitary and pineal glands, which suppresses your melatonin release. In other words, when we're exposed to any amount of artificial light at night, our brain thinks it's still daytime. So we keep the daytime hormones flowing and we suppress the nighttime hormones that are trying to be released.
Interesting.
So what's the solution to this? Well, the solution is to literally sit in the dark and live your life by candlelight and never turn on a light switch or look at a screen after the sun goes down ever again. Now, no one's going to do that because it's 2023, the modern world. No one's going to do that. So what's the next best thing?
The Swanwick glasses.
The next best thing is to block as much artificial light as possible by wearing a pair of scientifically proven high quality orange lensed blue light blocking glasses, as our Swanwick glasses are. We had the University of Washington put our glasses to a scientific test in 2019. And what it showed was that people who wore the glasses, and by the way, they're affectionately known as Swannies. My nickname is Swanee because my last name is Swanwick. And so the glasses are referred to as Swannies. This University of Washington study found that people who wore the glasses in the last hour before they went to sleep and then removed them just before they rolled over and went to sleep, ended up reporting sleeping about 12% longer and better during the night. That is a huge increase. Like
massive increase.
Massive increase. Simply by wearing a pair of scientifically proven orange lensed blue light blocking glasses. Now you can see I'm repeating orange lens, right? I've said that a few times now. Here's why. Not all blue light blocking glasses are created equal. If you're wearing a clear lens of blue light blocking glasses, as I'm demonstrating right now on this video, this clear lens cannot block enough of the blue light at night that is responsible for killing your melatonin production. It just can't. So you would wear these glasses during the daytime, which filters the blue light. It kind of reduces the blue light exposure, which gives you some clarity and focus. It keeps your energy levels high. But at nighttime, you want to switch to an orange lensed pair of blue light blocking glasses, because only an orange lens can repel enough of the blue light that is responsible for suppressing your melatonin production. So do not believe any marketing out there that says that a clear lens blue light blocker can help you sleep better. They can help you function better during the day, right? During the daytime, but they can't block enough of the blue light that messes with your sleep. It has to be an orange lens. And I'm biased, obviously, because I own the damn company. And but do your own research, right?
Obviously, you've done a lot, So I've never even heard orange lens, honestly. Heard a lot of blue light blockers. I've never heard that.
And look, you'll go on Amazon and you'll type in blue blockers, and you'll find lots of blue blockers on the market for less than $10 and $20. None of them are scientifically proven, right? And a lot of them now are coming out of China, which are cheap knockoffs. And you know, I haven't put all of them to the test, but I've put many of them to the test through a what's the word? It's not I was about to say speedometer, but that's not the right word. A spectrometer. Let me see what the word is. I forgot. So there you go. And you can see that it doesn't block enough of the light. You put the Swannies underneath the machine, and blue just don't get through.
That's awesome. To me, the test is, do I want to go with the guy who, has a passion for this because it's something that he's passionate in, because he experienced, the negative effects, that, likes to build businesses based around the things that he's passionate about? Or am I going to go after the guy selling them that really his focused end result is just the money and has none of the other stuff? So the integrity is not there. I mean, that to me right there explains it, where I'd make my decision personally if I knew that, if I had known you before. And to me, it's a no-brainer now, because, I know the quality's there. Plus, you're an entrepreneur, and that if you're going to play the long game and be successful, you can't cheat people. You can't sell crap, because number one, your name's going to get tarnished. And number two, you're going to have a short run. And that's not what it's about. So, well, that's fascinating, man. That's awesome. And that is right up my alley with something that, I'm looking to improve. So I'm going to definitely get a pair for sure. So that's great. Well, I appreciate all your time, James. This has been great to have you. Do you have any final thoughts or words you want to leave with my audience?
I would just say this. Just focusing on having a better relationship with alcohol and focusing on sleep quality has the power to absolutely transform your experience of life. How you feel, how you behave, how you perceive the world. We can buy as many pills as we want to try and make us feel better. But if we just stop ingesting so much damn poison from alcohol, and we block a lot of that artificial light at night and focus on sleep quality, wow, life can just transform for the better so quickly.
That's so true. Well, that's fantastic, folks. If you found any value in this, please share with anybody that you might find interest in this. And if you jump on over to Apple and leave us a 5-star written review, that'll help the algorithm find this episode, so people will find James as well. And appreciate your time. And James, thanks again for being here. I look forward to following and staying in touch.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you having me.
My pleasure. Take care.